humility that they don't know, and how can not know exactly what's going to happen next. So play their hand accordingly. The card counting system works because it t- tells the odds ever so slightly from the house to the player, but bet too heavily even when the odds seem in your favor, and if you're wrong you might lose so much that you don't have enough money to keep playing. There is never a moment when you're so right that you can bet every chip in front of you. The world isn't that kind to anyone, not consistently anyway. You have to give your yourself room for error. You have to plan on your plan not going according to plan. Kevin Lewis, a successful card counter portrait in the book Bringing Down the House, wrote more about this psychology philosophy. Although card counting is statistically proven to work, it does not guard- guarantee you will win every hand, let alone every trip to make to the casino. We must make sure me that we have enough money to withstand any swings of bad luck. Let's assume you have roughly a 2% edge over the casino. That still means the casino will win 49% of the time. Therefore, you need to have enough money to withstand any variant swings against you. A rule of thumb is that you should have at let's 100 basic units, assuming you start with the $10,000. You could comfortably play $100 unit. History is littered with good ideas taken too far, which are indistinguishable from bad ideas. The wisdom in having room for error is acknowledge to know acknowledge acknowledge acknowledging that uncertainty, randomness, and chance unknowns are an ever present part of life. The only way to deal with them is by increase the gap between what you think will happen and what can happen while still leaving you capable of fighting another day. Benjam, Benjamin Graham is known for his concept of margin of safety. He wrote about it extensively, extensively and in mathematical detail, but my favorite summary of the theory came when he mentioned in an interview that the purpose of the margin of safety is to render the forecast unnecessary. It's hard to overstate how much power ice power lies power lies in that simple statement. Margin of 50 margin of safety. You can also call it room for error or or redundancy is the only effective way to safely navigate a world that is governed by odds, not certainties, and almost everything relate to money exists in that kind of world. Forecasting with precision is hard. This is obvious to the card counter because no one could possibly know where a particular card lies in a shuffled deck. It's less obvious to someone asking what will the average annual return of the stock market be over the next 10 years, or one on what date will I be able to retire. But they are fundamentally the same. The best we can do it think about odds. Graham's margin of safety is a simple suggestion that we don't need to view the world in front of us as a black or white, predictable, or a crapshoot. The gray area pursuing think where a range of potential outcome are acceptable is the smart way to proceed. But people underestimate the need for for error in almost everything. They do not involve money. Stock all analysis analysts give their client price targets, not a price range. Economic forecaster predict think with precise figures rarely board probabilities. The pundit who speaks in unshakable guarantees will again a larger following than the one who says We can't know for sure and speak in probabilities. We do this in all kinds of financial handovers, especially those related to our our own decisions. Harvard psychologist Max Bezer- Bazerman one once saw that when on analyzing other people's home renovation plans, most people estimate the project will run between 25% and 15% ever budget, but when it comes to their own project, people estimate that renovations will be completed on time and at a budget. The eventual disappointment to things cues us to avoid room for error. Once is the idea that somebody must know what uh, what the future holds, driven by the uncomfortable feelings that come from admitting the opposite. The second is that you're therefore doing yourself harm by not taking action that fully exploit an accurate view of that future coming true. But room for error is undepreciated and misunderstood. It's often viewed as a conservative hedge used by those who don't want to make much risk or aren't confident in their reviews. But when you provide appropriately, it's quite the opposite. Room for error lets you e- endure your endure a range of potential outcomes, and endurance lets you stick around long enough to let the odds of benefiting from a low probability outcome fall in your favor. The begets gains occur infrequently, either because they don't happen often or because they take time to compound. So the person with enough room for error in part of their strategy to let them endure hardship in another has an edge over the person who gets wiped out. Game over. Insert more tokens when they're wrong. Bill Gates understood this well when Microsoft was a young company. He said he came up with this incredibly conservative approach that I won't wanted to have enough money in the bank to pay a year worth of payroll even if we didn't get any payments coming in. Warren Buffett expressed a similar idea when he told Berkshire Hathaway shareholders in 208 in 208, I have pledged to you the rating against and myself to always run Berkshire with more than ample cash when forced to choose. I will not trade even a night's sleep for the chance of extra profits. There are a few specific places for investors to think about room for error. One is volatility. Can you survive your assets declining by 13% on a spreadsheet? Maybe yes. In items of actually paying your bills and staying cash flow positive. But what about mentally? It is easy to underestimate what a 13% decline does to your price size. Your confidence may become short at the very moment opportunity is at its highest. You or your spouse may decide it's a time for a new plan or a new career. I know several investors who quit after losses because they were executed executed physically executed. Spreadsheet are good at telling you when the numbers do or don't add up. They're not good at modeling how you'll feel you'll feel when you stuck. You kind you kinds kids in at night wondering how you wondering if the investment decisions you made were mistakes that will hurt their future. Having a gap between what you can technically endure versus what's emotionally possible is an overlooked version of room for error. Another is saving for retirement. We can look at history and see, for example, that the US stock market has returned an annual average of 6.8% after inflation since the 1870s. It's a reasonable first approximation to use that as an estimate of what to accept on your own diversified por- portfolio. When saving for retirement, you can use those return assumptions options to back into the amount of money you'll need to save each month to achieve your target net nest egg. But what if future returns are lower, or what is long-term history is a good estimate of the long-term future, but your large target retirement date ends up failing in the middle of a brus- brutal bear market like 2009. What if a future bear market scares you uh, out of stock, and you end up missing a future bull market, so the returns you actually earn are less than the market average? What if you need to cash out you retirement accounts in your 30s to pay for a medical mishap? The answer to those what if is you won't be able to retire like you once residents, which can be a disaster. The should is a simple use fro- roof room for error when is room for error when estimating your future return is more art than science. For my own investments, which I'll describe more in chapter 20, I assume the future returns I'll earn in my lifetime will be 1 upon 2 lower than the historic average, so I save more than I would if I assume the future will resemble the past. It's my marriage of safety. The future may be worse than 1 upon 3 lower than the past, but no margin of safety offer a 100% guarantee. One tired buffer is enough to all me to sleep well at night, and if the future does resemble the past, I'll be pleasantly surprised. The best way to achieve felicity felicity is to aim low, says Charlie Munger. Wonderful. Charlie Munger. Wonderful. Charlie Munger. Wonderful. An important cousin of room for error is what I call optimized base in risk taking, or Russian roulette. Roulette should statistically work syndrome, an attachment to favorable odds when the downside is unacceptable in any circumstance. Nassim Taleb Talib says you can be risk loving and yet compet- completely average to run, and indeed you should. The idea is that you have to take a risk to get ahead, but no risk that can wipe you out ever worth taking. The odds are in your favor when playing Russian roulette, but do one side do one side on the one side is not worth the potential potential upside. There is no margin of safety that can compensate compensate uh, compensate for the risk. Same with money. The odds of many I lucrative things are in your favor. Real assets prices go up most year, and during most year you'll you'll get a paycheck every other week. But if something has a 95 odds of begin right, 5 percentage odds of begin wrong missing, you will almost certainly experience the downside at some point. In will almost certainly experience the downside at some point in your life, and if the cost of the downside is running the upside the other 95 percentage of the time, likely isn't worth the risk, no matter how applying it look. Leverage is the devil here. Leverage taking on debate to make your money go further pushes routine risk into something capable of produce producing rain. Run the dancer is that rational optimize most of the time mask the odds of rain. Some of the time the result is will systematically understand underestimate risk. Housing price fell 13% last decade. A few campaigns default on their debate. That's a capitalism. It happen, but those with high leverage had a double wipe out. Not only were they left broken, but begin wipe out or said every opportunity to get back in the game at the very moment opportunity was ripe. A homeowner wipe out in 2019 2009 2009 had no chance of taking advantage of cheap mortgages rates in 2010. 2010 Lehman Brothers had no chance chance of investing in a cheap but in 2000 2009 they were done. To get around this, I think of my own money as a barbell led. I take a risk with portion, one portion and am terrified with the other. This is not inside, but the psychology of money would lead you to believe that it is. I just want to ensure I can remain standing long enough for my risk to pay off. You have to survive to success to respect a point we've made a few times in this look, the ability to do what you want when you want for as long as you want has an infinite room for error does more than just widen the target around what you think might happen. It also happen protect you from things you'd never imagine, which can be the most troublesome events we face. The Battle of Stalingrad during World War II was the largest battle in history, with it came equally staggering story of how people dealt with risk. One came in late 1942 when a German tank unit set in reserve on grassland outside the city when tanks were desperately needed on the front line. Something happened that surprised everyone. Almost none of them were out of 104 tanks in the unit. Fewer than 20 were operable. Engineers quickly found the issue. Historian William Craig writes during the weeks of inactivity behind the front line file. Mike had nested inside the vehicles and eaten away insulations covering the electrical system. The Germans had the most sophisticated equipment in the world, yet there they were defeated by Mike. You can imagine their disbelief if these almost certainly never crossed their minds. What kind of tank designer think about mouse protection? Not a responsible one, and not one who studied tech history. But these kind of things happen all the time. You can plan for every risk except the things that are too crazy to cross your mind, and those crazy things can do the most harm because they happen more often than you think, and you have no plan for how to deal with them. In 2006, when Buffett search announced a search for his eventual replacement. He said he needed someone gently program to record recognize and avoid serious risk, including those never before encountered. I have seen this skill at work with startup. My firm collaborative fund has back ask a founder to list the biggest risk they face, and the usual suspect maintained, but by beyond the predictable struggles of running a startup. Here are a few issues we have dealt with among our portfolio companies. Wet, wet, water, water pipe broke, flooding, and running a company's office. A company's office was broken in 3 times. A company was kicked out of its manufacturing plant. A strong store was shut down after a customer called the health department because she didn't like that another customer brought a dog inside. A CEO's email was spoofed in the middle of a fundraise that required all of his attend. A founder and had a mental breakdown. Several of these events were existential to the company's future, but none were foreseeable because none had previously happened to the CEOs dealing with this problem or anyone else they knew for that matter. It was un, uncharted territory. Avoiding these of kinds of unknown risk is almost by definition impossible. You can't prepare for what you can't envision. If there one way to guard against their damage, it's avoiding single point of failure. A good rule of thumb for a lot of things in life is that everything that can break will eventually break. So if many things really one thing working and that thing breaks, you are counting the day to catastrophe. That's a single point of failure. Some people are remarkably good at avoiding single points of failure. Most critical system on airplanes have backups, and the backups often have backups. Modern jets have four redundant electrical system. You can fly with one engine and technically land with none, as every jet must be capable of stopping on runway with its brake alone without thrust reverse from its engine's suspension. Brides can similarly lose many of their cables without falling. The biggest single point of failure with money is a sole reliance on a paycheck to fund short-term spending need with no savings to create a gap between what you think your expenses are and what they might be in the future. The trick of that often goes overlooked even by the list it is what we saw in chapter 10 to realizing that you don't need a specific reason to save. It's fine to save for a car or a home or for retirement, but it's equally important to save for things you can't possibly predict or even comprehend. The financial equivalent of failed Mike. Predicting what you'll use your saving for assumes you live in a world where you know exactly what your future expenses will be, which no one does. I save a lot and I have no idea what I'll use the saving for in the future. Few financial plans that only prepare for no risks have enough margin of safety to survive the real world. In fact, the most important part of every plan is planning on your plan not going according to plan. Now let me show you how this applies to you. Thank you.